NAS is a nationwide survey of students' learning undertaken by the Ministry of Education, Government of India, to study and assess the health of the education system. The FLS aims to achieve universal foundational literacy and numeracy in primary classes and ensure that all children attain grade-level competencies in reading, writing, and numeracy. NAS and FLS reading provides a comprehensive picture of students' learning across the country and in every state, an understanding of students' knowledge, skills, and performance on key tasks, and provide policy planners with information to devise strategy and allocate resources to strengthen poor performance. The National Achievement Survey is the largest nationwide sample-based education survey conducted across India. It provides a system-level reflection on the effectiveness of school education, and it collects information on relevant background variables such as school environment, teaching processes, and student home and background factors. It covers the whole spectrum of schools, including government schools, both state and central government, government-aided schools, and private schools across India. The National Achievement Survey was conducted throughout the country on November 13, 2017 for classes 3, 5, and 8 in government and government-aided schools for the subjects mathematics, language, social sciences, and science. Here, the selection of the sample schools was based on the UDAI's 2019 and 2020 data. Therefore, the state districts used for drawing of the sample of the NAS 2021 is exactly as per the UDAI's 2019 and 2020. NAS 2021 intends to provide information of what India's students know and can do in key grades and subjects at national, state, district, and school type. The finding helps diagnose learning gaps of students and determine interventions required in educational policies, teaching practices, and learning. The key highlights of the NAS 2021 were: under the national average percentage of students for class 3 was 59%, which declined by 10% to 49% in class 5. This further declined to 41.9% in class 8 and then 37.8% in class 10. In the performance recorded, there is a decline in almost all subjects. For instance, the mathematics score nationally was 57% in class 3, dropping by almost 10% to 44% in class 5 and 36% in class 8 and 32% in class 10. The language score nationally was 62% in class 3 and dropped to 52% in class 5 and to 53% in class 8. For science, the national score declined from 39% in class 8 to 35% in class 10. The average performance of schools in rural areas remain significantly below those urban areas in some states and union territories. When it comes to social group-wise performance, the scheduled tribe, the scheduled caste, and other backward classes categories remain lower than that of the students from the general category. Then, looking into the gender-wise performance, girls remain better than the boys in almost all subjects across the classes, both nationally and at state level. Now, in the perception of students about learning, at home level during the pandemic, when the school remains closed, 78% of students termed it as a burdensome with a lot of assignments. Then 38% of students face difficulties in learning at home, while 24% say that they did not have digital devices at home. Now coming to FLS 2022, the Ministry of Education launched the National Initiative for Proficiency in Reading with Understanding and Numeracy, Nipun Bharat, in July 2021. Nipun was announced as a national mission to enable all children at the end of grade 3 to attain foundational skills by the year 2026 to 2027. As a crucial step towards strengthening efforts for foundational literacy and numeracy, a large-scale foundational learning study was undertaken by NCERT in March 2022. In Nagaland, out of 75 schools, 569 students and 146 teachers participated in the survey. The study sample included state government schools, government-aided schools, private recognized schools, and central government schools. Here, FLS was conducted in 20 languages, which are being used as a medium of instruction in various states and union territories. So these are the main highlights of the survey. And considering the importance of NAS and FLS in our education system, the plans for effective implementation should be our effort. The intervention that we give will be crucial to enhance the learning levels of our children.
All of us gathered here are from the school ecosystem. All of us gathered here are working with the objective of making our children educated, making them, capacitating them to learn, whether we are from the school education establishment or whether we are from the SCRT, the DIETS, Samagra Shiksha, or from the other organization, Changing and Shiksha Local. All of us here work towards building children, nurturing children, children who are educated, children who will grow up to be citizens who can comprehend and who can also be responsible citizens to the state and to the country. The children we have here in the state right now in our schools, this morning I'll talk in the context of the government schools only, since all of us gathered here are from the government setup. The children in our schools are the product of our inputs. The inputs from our schools, from our teachers, from the administrators, the inputs provided from our system providing the curriculum, the syllabus, the textbook, and the learning transaction which takes place. These are the inputs in our schools. And our students in our government schools are the product of the inputs, the output of the inputs. And it is always important to have an assessment of what our inputs are, what our achievements are. Only when we have an assessment, then only we will be able to know whether we have achieved our targets, our objectives or not. And therefore, this NAS, this National Achievement Survey of Schools, is an assessment of the performance of our schools across schools, whether private or government or central schools. The NAS is an assessment of the health of the education system in the country. And in Nagaland, the NAS, as mandated by the GOI, carried out by the officers, by the teachers of our government schools, but this was spread out across schools, private and government in our state. And this was carried out in 910 schools in our state, involving 5,507 teachers and involving 28,995 students in our state. NAS has indicated what is the learning outcomes in the various subjects in the various grades. Whether we are able to achieve our targets, whether there is learning outcome or not, that the NAS has already indicated. Then number two, the other one is Foundational Learning Survey. We are all aware of the National Education Policy 2020. And the National Education Policy gives emphasis to foundational learning and numeracy. And for this reason, as already shared, the Nipun Bharat Mission was launched in July 2021. We are aware that we have many out-of-school children. We have high dropout rates in many sectors, and in the secondary sector, in the secondary levels. We have low retention rates. And why? Why are these happening? Of course, there are also external factors, but when the foundation is not strong, our children are not able to move forward. And therefore, realizing that the Government of India has launched this Nipun Bharat mission. And this mission is to focus on improving the foundational literacy in our state. And the objective is that by the time the child reaches grade 3, he or she will be competent enough to read, to be able to read with comprehension, to be able to do simple math, and will be able to gain the grade level competencies. These surveys are conducted so that we are aware and we assess our stand, our achievements, and we identify the gaps, the learning gaps, and accordingly provide the necessary interventions so that these gaps are breached and we're able to carry forward in enabling our children to learn to read and to read to learn. Ultimately, to read to learn. That is the objective of all these programs. And here, what I want to emphasize this morning is our roles as administrators, education administrators, managers, coordinators, head of schools, people who transact teaching and learning in the schools. Our role, the importance of our role. Children of the state are placed in our care. We are custodians of these children in our schools. And how we transact in the schools is very important.